Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to analyze the color type of Jodie Comer. I recently finished watching Killing Eve and I got so obsessed with Jodie Comer. So here I am trying to analyze her color type. I think Jodie has a spring light grayish type and is also compatible with the summer light grayish and autumn nude. She has a very light palette with a preference for warmer tones, and she also thrives when there's a hint of gray. I'm going to break all of this down with you in detail to show you how I got to this conclusion. First of all, let's look at Jodie's best colors. This picture has two of her best colors, which are light green and salmon. I'm gonna call this color wasabi or lime green, and I think this is the signature color of spring light. This color has such a freshness to it, and it makes Jodie look naturally stunning and super comfortable. Then I have this light turquoise color, which I love on Jodie. I think it's another signature best color on a spring light. It gives Jodie that youthful vibe of the spring light tone. Her skin is looking immaculate, and this is the kind of effect the right color will have. You can see that this color is a bit muted, and Jodie pulls it off really well. And here you can also see that she really welcomes these hints of grays in her colors. On the other hand, when we look at a more saturated color like this, there definitely is a slight overpowering, but because it's in this sort of turquoise color, she does manage to pull it off. Okay, let's move on to the khaki green. The lighter khaki with lots of grayness looks really stable on Jodie. This light green has a drop of gray to it and also complements Jodie's complexion very well. Then the mid-tone khaki, it may seem a bit dull and a bit too serious on her. But what this does show is that she definitely prefers warmer tones. She is generally comfortable with these earthy shades, including the khaki color. Let's also look at the deep forest green. This shade is probably the least flattering out of all the greens that we saw. It is too dark and heavy for her features to pop out. But nevertheless, it is not bad at all considering how light her palette is. So generally, spring lights do really well with the color green. And if you have a similar type to Jodie, I would obviously recommend to keep your greens close to you. The next color is coral pink. This cardigan complements her features so well. I really love it. She looks so soft and just really refreshing in this color. Next, I have ivory and beige. These are the base colors that suit Jodie the best. She looks warm. Her skin looks perfect in this color. I'm trying not to use too many pictures from Killing Eve because either the lighting's really manipulated or like she's always bleeding or at a gunpoint or something like that. But my point is you can really see that this light beige is her staple color because it makes her look so gorgeous in such an effortless way. And that is what you want. You don't want anything to look so crafted and forced onto you. And the darker shades of beige can also be utilized during the colder seasons. She pulls them off really well. They are a bit dark on her, but here we can see that Jodie can also use the soft autumn palette. Then we have yellow. Generally, spring types pull off warm yellow very well. Even this mustard color, although it's a bit dark and heavy, but it still looks vibrant on Jodie. And then I managed to find this picture with this cool light yellow. She looks so graceful and very composed. Her features are complemented by this delicate pastel yellow and blue. Honestly, when I first saw this picture during my research, she looked so good that I kind of thought she could be a summer light or summer light grayish. Let's transition into the summer light colors and identify if that could be the case for Jodie. First of all, I'm going to look at white, which is the best of best color for all summer types. When I look at Jodie in this pure snow white, it seems a bit too strong for her. There's just so much blankness and sharpness of this color. I feel like she's really screaming for a drop of yellow or gray to just neutralize and soften this icy white. Now I'm going to compare this white to Hunter Schafer. I think she's a very typical summer light, and here she looks so clean, so fresh. And this shows a really big difference to how Jodie is looking in the same color. Jodie is almost reflecting the strong white off of her. She suits ivory and pearl much better. This again is why I think she falls into a light grayish category, not just light. Speaking of the gray, let's look at gray. I consider this color another sort of summer light staple. And Jodie looks exceptional in light gray. She looks so good. I really like this softness. I think this is where Jodie can cross-use the spring and summer light palettes. It is the perfect tone for Jodie, and it makes her face very soft and naturally stand out. But notice how the darker shades of gray is less flattering on Jodie. It creates a very serious look, and it's a bit heavy for her. So for a type like Jodie, I would try to avoid charcoal and stay in the lighter shades of gray. And then when I look at Jodie in this cool light blue, it really looks a bit off for her skin color. These colors all look pretty bland on her. Like, I don't really know what to say to these pictures. Like, she looks okay. I almost see the clothing before her face, whereas this blue with a tint of yellow suits so much better on her because it's warmer and it actually complements her complexion so well. Of course, with the help of this little coral salmon scarf right below her face. I'm gonna look at the metallic. It's too strong for Jodie anyways. Like, I would only recommend this type of color for like winter vivid types. But if I were to choose between the gold and the silver, I think she's definitely pulling off the gold much better, which in the case for a summer light would never ever happen. In conclusion, Jodie welcomes the softness of the gray and certain neutral pastel colors of summer light, but she does not do well with the coolness of these colors and also the clarity of white. And then I mentioned that Jodie's palette can also extend to some autumn nude colors, so let's have a look at that. Those will be mostly earthy colors with darker shades like light tan to brown. As long as the brightness remains high enough with the soft shade of gray, she will not only suit the color but also can take advantage of them to glam up a bit. This goes the same way for the makeup, which I will talk about later. However, if these colors go higher in saturation and lower in the brightness, the color starts to really overwhelm her face and blur out her features. So if you have a type like Jodie's, I recommend to avoid like deep autumn colors, but definitely use autumn nude colors for colder season alternatives. Now we're gonna look at black. Black is a huge subject of discussion for a type like Jodie's. Since her type relies so heavily on the high brightness and softness, black is obviously the opposite of that and unfortunately naturally falls in the worst color category for Jodie. You can really see that the color is so heavy, so overwhelming for Jodie. Just feels like Jodie's drowning in this blackness. Especially in this velvet, the black looks even more overpowering. But there are always many ways to wear black better. If you look at these pictures where Jodie actually looks pretty amazing in black, can you notice how deeply cut all these tops are? Okay, so show some skin to ameliorate the strong effects of the black color. Next, use white at all costs. It's gonna be your best friend only when it comes to wearing black. Give some room to breathe by putting in that lightness in the dark. Also pay attention to the texture of the garment. Sheer and light texture is always much preferred over the thick velvet type for Jodie. You can also utilize pearls and silver accents, but I would say this method is more impactful on summer cools. They just do pearls and silver much better. The last cheat key is to wear the right makeup. I think that this is especially valid for spring lights. They can take a lot of advantage from wearing the right makeup. It's gonna give you that boost and it will help you fight that blackness trying to swallow your lights in the face. Red is a color that is widely favored by all spring types, but for Jodie's type, it really is a very strong color inherently, and it's kind of too strong for her. She looks extremely hot in terms of like the temperature being really high. Yeah, she looks like she needs a cup of water. I can see that her features are faded out because the red is so powerful. To prevent this from happening, I would recommend wearing a deep V-neck, have some distance from your face, or use it as an accent color, or use it in combination with white. And then we have orange. Basically the same thing is happening with orange, but the color itself and the warmth of it looks actually really great on Jodie. Just make sure to have a good distance from your face so that the bright orange doesn't take over your features. Next, I'm gonna do some deep winter colors. This magenta is extremely unflattering on Jodie, to a point like she is not recognizable. I would pick this color as one of her worst colors as it makes her look too mature and dull. Her skin looks unusually patchy and out of harmony. Even with this good amount of space between her face and her dress, I just can't say that this is the best color on Jodie. And same goes with this deep purple color. Notice how high the collar of the blouse is, and it's really having an extra impact on how her face looks. To be honest, she looks really tired here. And then we have this fully saturated cool purple with very low brightness. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of funny how much overpowering this color has on both people in this picture. It's funny because it's only a backdrop behind them. It's not even real close. Her face looks very disconnected from the background, and her black dress is not helping. It does not bring her beautiful face to the spotlight. It's very distracting. Honestly, I think that this could be a good way to keep a low profile if you don't want to get attention in public. And then we have the deep red or burgundy color. This deep wine color I don't think is too flattering on Jodie, and I think it's making Jodie's face look very pale and washed out and tired. I would recommend to go sleeveless or even off shoulder. Lastly, this forest green color is a bit much for Jodie. Despite green being Jodie's strongest color, this deep tone is just way too heavy for her. Pretty much the same thing with dark navy. I think it's making her look very, very dull, which is very out of character for her. And yeah, I recommend using light colors or white stripes when you're wearing navy just to lighten up the general mood. And then we have the vivid cool colors. Vivid cool yellow makes Jodie's face look patchy. There's a lack of coherence in general. I actually kind of like the disconnection that this color is giving, but it's only because it's such a big change. It's like a once in a while thing. She looks very cold and inaccessible. So I think it's a good change actually if that's the style that you want to curate. But does that complement her color palette naturally? I think not. Warm yellow with high saturation is not necessarily better than the cool one. Here, the color is really competing with her facial features, and this kind of competition is not something you want. It's very tiresome to your eyes. I am gonna give exceptions for these two turquoise tops. We already discussed it. Despite the high saturation, Jodie relatively pulls these off well. It's just one of her very highly favored colors. This outfit, I did like this outfit on Jodie very much, but color-wise, I don't think it's flattering. It's just okay. Okay, now we're gonna look at the high contrast level. It draws so much attention that I actually forgot to look at Jodie's face. That's not good. The more linear and clearer the separation is, the more distraction there is from her face. In fact, this is a good strategy to hide from the attention because this high contrast is so impactful. It's really taking away all the attention from you. Even the little details of these black and white contrasts, I don't think they add much to Jodie at all. It's just not a plus. Basically, the same goes to these stripes and loud patterns. They are very loud and they are stealing the attention from Jodie's face. I think what suits Jodie's type more is the rather boring and simple combinations of blocks of soft colors. And then I have hair and makeup, but I realized how much speaking I've been doing. I'm gonna have to make it really quick. So hair, I would say honey and dark blonde over cool platinum blonde. It's just more coherent to her face, and I do know she's naturally a brunette. Skin makeup, keep it light and smooth over matte. I don't think the matte skin texture works on Jodie. And keep the colors light and warm, but added accent can create a more glammed up look. Cool lips, especially deep red and purplish cool lips are way too strong for her, and it's gonna make her blemishes show up more. Alright, so that is what I have for Jodie Comer's color analysis. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope this helped you understand a spring light grayish type a bit more. Thank you for watching and let me know if you have any questions in the comments.